Back at Las Vegas, Big Ten Media Days, Jeremy Werner, Joey Wagner, joined by Big Ten Network's Howard Griffith, Illini great. Howard, how are you?
I don't know about great, but I'm doing great, though. Football season's right around the corner, so it's exciting time.
I want to get your unbiased analyst take here in a little bit, but put on your Illini grad cap.
Yes.
A lot of people, the expectations are fun, but it's also a little nerve-wracking around Illinois fans because they got the history of great seasons followed by bad seasons. So how do you feel going into the season?
I'm like most fans, right? You're cautiously optimistic, but I think one thing, you've got an outstanding quarterback, you've got an outstanding roster, and Coach Bielema has done a tremendous job of putting his staff together. And I say this all the time about him. We've got the best version, I believe, of Coach right now that's happening. And it's really starting to show on the recruiting trail. It really shows from the young men that he brought here to Media Day. And I think it's going to be a really fun season, not just this season, but continuing to move things forward. He's really the right person for us right now, and it's just about us taking advantage of it.
Why is he the right guy? Why can he be what Iowa had with Hayden Fry or what Wisconsin had with Barry Alvarez?
Yeah, I think one of the things is you think about the coaches and the places that he's been. He had a great deal of success when he was with the Badgers as a young coach, really, right? Kind of walked in, took over a program, and they continued to have more success than that situation happening. Went to Arkansas. Things didn't go as well as he would have liked them to go. And then he took his abilities to the NFL. So he's been around a lot of coaches, I think, that have had the ability to have a great impression about who he is. And when I say that we're getting the best version, I think because part of it is him having a young family. He wants to have roots in Champaign and continuing to build it. He's not in this thing for, as we've seen Illinois coaches, as a stepping stone. If they weren't fired for not doing a great job, if they did a good job, they wanted to move on to bigger and better places. He knows what those quote-unquote bigger and better places look like, and he believes that those things can happen in Champaign.
Has anything surprised you about the version of Illinois or the version of Bret Bielema that Illinois got?
No, nothing. It's just it's a more mature version. I think it's just the evolution of a coach, right? And to have so much success as a young player, or not as a player and a coach, and then all of a sudden have some roadblocks hit you. It's about growing, and he's continued to grow, but he's stayed true to what his roots are and being able to develop players. And I think that's, having had the opportunity to sit in some of his team meetings, he doesn't leave any stone unturned. So he does a lot and gets the most out of his team and out of his coaches as well.
Listen, Illinois has a quarterback now, and it's been a little bit since that's been a real conversation. What do you think about Luke Altmaier and the season he had a year ago and what he can do this year?
Yeah, truly continues to get better each and every year, right? So you think about where he is now, he's seen a lot. Nothing's going to really surprise him. The communication with the offensive coordinator, those are going to be outstanding this year. And I think just his ability to get Illinois' offense out of bad plays when those type of situations happen, take care of the football and be able to move the team down the field with the offensive line, a good run game. I think the sky's the limit for what his abilities can be. I think he can make quite a few challenges to who is the best quarterback in this conference this year.
Running back's best friend has to be 5 offensive linemen returning, 4 of them all Big Ten guys. They ended the year really strong, especially as run blockers. Josh McCray gone, though, now at Georgia. Caden Fagan can just stay healthy. Aiden Woffrey ended the season really well. Khalil Valentine, they have some high hopes for. What do you make of that run game and how it can complement Luke and a group of receivers that obviously have to show it?
Yeah, they have to show it to receivers, but I think the run game, that's a part of this it's really easy to evaluate because you're going to have the holes are going to be wide open. You're going to have opportunities to get to the second level. Can you make that linebacker miss or that safety miss that starts to come down to the box to try to take things away? And they're going to have plenty of opportunities. I think it's going to be one of those things where who gets the hot hand will be who kind of finishes the game, but you're going to need a big group of backs to be able to have success because it's a physical conference and it's a physical position, so you need to have everybody healthy, and you never know who's going to get hot one day.
What do you like about Aiden and Caden?
I just like their ability to get downhill and put your foot in the ground and get uphill, get downhill to be able to make plays. To me, all the dancing, that stuff's good for some people, but in this offense, they need to be able to make a quick decision. If they have to make a guy miss, they can do that, but also being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, showing those abilities allows that offense, obviously, to open up when you can now all of a sudden spread the field and make a running back a threat in the passing game.
Bret has kind of talked about this running back room, reminding him of some of the ones that he's had in the past. That's I don't know if he means the talent, but they're all a little bit different, right? Like Caden's a big guy, Aiden's a mix, Khalil Small. What's the value of that when you have three effective pieces a little bit different?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it because now all of a sudden, from a defensive standpoint, guys do different things, and it is when you have guys that listen. I remember when James Gordon, all he got to do was run jet sweep. That was the only play he got to run, but he'd run for 200 some yards on it. So to be able to have that versatility is key because it gives more versatility to that offense and the things that they want to do.
This defense took a step forward last year with Aaron Henry in his second year. Their secondary's got a lot of talent. Game back is what stands out about what they have defensively.
Well, I think it all starts with Aaron Henry's ability to communicate with his players. You talk about growing into a position. That's what he's been able to do, and that's what you expect out of that coordinator position. And did he know he was going to be the offensive coordinator, say 2 years ago? He probably would have said no. If he asked him, maybe he wasn't ready. But Coach Bielema believed he was the guy, and we've continued to watch him grow. And as he's grown, so has this defense continuing to get better.
What do you think of this schedule for Illinois? Some early tests on the road at Duke and Indiana, home games with USC and Ohio State. Back end looks pretty advantageous if they can get through. What do you think of the schedule?
I think really, as coaches talk about, it's going to be one game at a time. But that Duke, that's going to be a good game. That's going to be, Manny Diaz has these guys really playing well. And it's about being able to manage. You don't know what you're going to get out of Indiana. People think that maybe it was a one-year wonder. It wasn't. That's an unbelievable coaching staff that they've had, and they've really done a great job of replenishing that roster. So that's going to be a tough task. I think they're going to play in a lot of close games. And as a couple of years ago when they were learning how to win those games, that veteran leadership has got to be able to get them through. Because I think although they were able to score a lot of points in games and blow some people out, I think there'll be some opportunities there. But I think these will be a lot more closer, and they'll have to be able to take care of business.
Joey asked you about Aaron Henry. I want to ask you about Bret Bielema.
Yeah.
I think he's the first offensive coordinator who's been here for 4 years in a really long time. Obviously, there's some success under Bill Cubit, but Mike Loxley felt like the last really successful one that went on and became a head coach after it. Barry's got that opportunity. What stood out to you about just the progression that's been really gradual but consistent of the offense?
And I think that's part of being able to, first of all, be able to retain your talent that's there. You have to be able to have a quarterback, and he's been fortunate enough to have this be his third year with his quarterback, which nowadays is really unheard of, right? And particularly a guy that's had opportunities to go ahead and move on. But I think it goes back to what I mentioned with Aaron Henry, the communication part of it, being able to allow his other coaches also to be able to have an influence on what's going on offensively. And he can really just strategize, coaches quarterbacks when he needs to, but you have your other position coaches that really can obviously run their meetings, but also can have a huge impact. And I think in today's college football, it's so much that is asked of that head coach that if you don't have coordinators and assistant coaches who really understand what the philosophy of the program is, you're going to struggle. Because when you're the head coach, you have to be confident that when you walk out of the meeting and you go down the hall to check on a different unit, the message that you guys have talked about in the team meeting is going to be disseminated amongst his assistant coaches, and they're going to be making sure that the young players and the players in general get that information.
I got two more for you. Recruiting. You're starting to get some kids, right? I mean, St. Louis area, get Jacob Eberhardt, and Chicago getting Oz Rankin, getting some kids out of the Chicago Catholic League. What's that like for you as an alum, just to see them get into some of those battles and keep some of those kids in state?
And I think it's a gradual process. Most people will tell you, as you guys have been able to watch and see, it just doesn't happen overnight. And there's got to be a couple of factors, I think, that when you start to recruit, you're not always going to be able to get all of the kids, whether it's City of Chicago, whether it's Indianapolis, whether it's St. Louis. But if you can get the right kids that really other players want to be around, that can start to create that momentum. Again, it's all about winning, but it's also being able to see that, hey, they are doing things the right way. in Champaign. I do have the ability to stay home or close to home and be able to get a great education, make some money, and also play some outstanding football.
Get to the NFL.
Yeah,
right?
and that's
have all those pieces start to hit a little bit.
and that's what I think is important. And I think we don't hear so much from Bret, but he talks a lot. He talks a lot about the athletic department and the athletic director that we have here. When they're in alignment, which you hear a lot of other coaches talk about as well. James Franklin does that. When the AD believes in what's happening in athletics and you have the full support of that, things just take off. It's when they're not on the same page is when you start to see issues. And we've seen really just the relationship that those two guys have. It's every practice I show up to, it doesn't matter when it is, it seems they always have there's a moment in the practice when Josh comes down and they take their walk, 5 or 10 minute walk to catch up, and then they continue with practice. So, I think Illinois sports and Illinois athletics is really, really in a great place right now. And Josh Whitman deserves a lot of credit to be able, he's putting a lot of pieces together, and he's also shown his commitment to these coaches as well.
First time around, I think maybe the second time around, Illinois wasn't able to get Houston Griffith.
Yeah.
You got him on the coaching side of it. He's obviously been part of the staff, the recruiting staff now, helping coach DBs.
Yeah.
What's that experience been like as a father to see him at your alma mater and his, starting his coaching career?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, but I get a lot of grief. They're like, well, why didn't he just come play here? I said, you have to take that up with him and the coaching staff that was here that was recruiting him. Probably didn't do a great job, but that's neither here nor there. So, but now I think his ability to learn, and he knows he's been around a lot of coaches, even from his days of going out on spring break. When he'd have spring break, he would go with Coach DiNardo and I as we would go around during the spring tour. So he's been around a lot of coaches. He understands it. But he's learning the game, and I think last year, being on the offensive side, which was totally uncomfortable and foreign to him, really is going to make him a better coach now that he's back with the DBs. And I think he's really enjoying it, and he enjoys his players, and he's running some meetings, running some drills, so he's excited and growing as a player.
I do have one more. We talk about recruiting. I think retention for Bret Bielema, when you look at his coaches, and you look at after Ryan Walters left, he pretty much has a stable staff. We're just not having guys like Gabe Agnes, Xavier Scott, Matthew Bailey leave. What's that do when you have that continuity? There's clearly some sort of belief in that building and that guy to not go bounce to another program in the NFL.
Luke Altmaier being another
Luke Altmaier.
Who I had a chance to meet his parents the other day, but when they were here, I can see exactly why Luke is who he is today because of his parents and the way he was raised. But I think if you look around, you look at the last two champions, right? You look at Michigan, you look at Ohio State, even Michigan the previous year, those were veteran-led teams. Ohio State figured it out. We need veteran leadership. We need to be able to retain our players. Sure, I think people focused on, okay, they spent all this money on this roster. That really wasn't it. Those guys needed to improve draft grades here and there, but it was still about a bigger vision, trying to win a championship. Now we see that happening with Penn State. Veteran guys could have gone off, decided to come back. They were able to retain those players, and we see it at Illinois. This is an important part, because I think at their core, kids don't want to leave. There's a reason for the majority of them that they sign with their program that they're at. They don't want to leave. They have friends, and they've started relationships, and if you're treating the players right, you're being honest, you're being upfront with them, they can go through some of the growing pains that are there. It's just not, it just has to be communicated. This is why you need to sit for a little while longer. You're not getting as many reps as you would like to get. But if you hang in there and you continue to develop, we'll be able to increase your pay with performance and that sort of thing. And that's, I think with the way, things have happened, and yes, we have NIL now, and we also have the salary cap, if you want to call it that. It still goes back to the relationships that those coaches have created with those families and with those players. That's still the most important part of it. So to be able to retain these guys, to be able to have the ability to compensate them where they feel that it's fair, even though they could possibly get more money elsewhere, really speaks volumes for what the coaching and the athletic department has stepped up and done.
Howard Griffith, Big Ten Network. We appreciate your time as always, man. Great seeing you.
All right. Can't wait to see you guys. See you guys in the summer.